This is a nusach that we say by the Hadlokas Neres Chanukah, which is not the same nusach that we say by Shemona Esrei when we mention Chanukah, by Berchas HaMazon. Over there we say Ala Nisim, which is a different nusach. Why do we have two different nuschos? Because, as was well known, there were two major nisim that happened at the Chanukah time. There was the nes of the Melchama, when the Me'atim, the Tahirim, the Tzadikim, they were victorious over the Tameim and the Rishoim, which B'derech HaTeva would be something that was impossible. That a small group of Tzadikim should overcome the mighty Greek army, trained soldiers, warriors, and that B'derech HaTeva was impossible. It was the great nes that the Rebbeinu Shalom brought, that they were victorious and they defeated the Greeks. The second miracle is well known, the Pach HaShemen, which B'derech HaTeva would only last for 1 day, and it burned for 8 days. So to commemorate both these miracles, these two nisim, we have one nusach that we say by davening in Shemona Esrei, Berchas HaMazon, Ala Nisim, and by the lighting of the candles, the Chanukah candles, Haneris Halalu Anu Madlikim. But it is interesting to note that in the nusach of Haneris Halalu, the nes of the Pach HaShemen itself is never really clarified, it's never really specified, it's just spoken about in general terms. Haneris Halalu Anu Madlikim Ala Nisim V'Niflois. But it never really specifies, it never really states clearly that there was a Pach HaShemen which would only last for 1 day and lasted for 8 days. And secondly, it mentions in the Nusach of Haneres Halalu, it mentions the Milchamas. It mentions the war. And why does it mention the war? Why does it mention the Milchamas when here we're really talking about the Nes of the Pach HaShemen? We're not talking at this juncture by the lighting of the candles, by the nes of the Melchama. The nes of the Melchama was already mentioned in the Tfilos. What is the connection with the Melchama? Why are we mentioning the Melchama over here by the lighting of the candles? Let's examine the nisim of Chanukah. What did they demonstrate? What is the common denominator, and what did they both demonstrate? They both demonstrated to the world that Hashem, the Rebbeinu Shalom, runs the world. It's not Koichi v'yotzim yodi. It's not the human endeavor. It's Hashem that runs the world. And even when things b'derech hateva seem impossible by natural means, Hashem shows us that the impossible is possible. That human endeavor is necessary, but that's not ultimately what governs the world. It's the Rebbeinu Shalom, it's the Yad Hashem. And how were the Chashmonaim zoichet to that? How were they zoichet to these great miracles? What was their merit? What was the zchus that brought about these miracles? It's because the Chashmonaim themselves demonstrated that Hashem runs the world. That even though it was against all odds, and b'derech hateva it was impossible, they were willing to risk their lives, literally, to go to war against the Yevonim. They had total faith, total bitochen in the Rebbeinu Shalom, and therefore the Rebbeinu Shalom, he responded in kind, and he brought about the great miracle. They had the deep desire to be Oved Hashem, b'kedusha tahara, to light the neres in the most perfect way, and Hashem responded by bringing the miracle of the Pach HaShemen. But ultimately, what was responsible for the Pach HaShemen, for the Nisim of Chanukah, was the Mesiras Nefesh of the Chashmonaim. And therefore, when we light the candles, which commemorate the Nes of the Pach HaShemen, we talk about the root cause. What was the foundation of it? The foundation was the Mesiras Nefesh of the Chashmonaim, the total faith in the Rebbeinu Shalom to be Meiser Nefesh in a battle that b'derech hateva they had no chance of winning. And that was the root cause of that miracle. And the miracle of the Pach Hashem demonstrated the notion, the concept that Hashem runs the world and that if we have faith with Him, He responds. And these miracles of Chanukah were not only at that time, these miracles took place and take place today as well. Bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. They're miracles that take place today. And then Klal Yisrael is surrounded by enemies that have one motive in mind, have one agenda. And when the odds seem to be impossible, if we have faith in the Rebbeinu Shalom, we will overcome these enemies as well. Just as they did in their time, Bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. And on a personal level also, if a person has total faith in the Rebbeinu Shalom, has bitoch, and he is willing to be meiser nefesh, Hashem brings nisim and a special hashgacha pratis to that person. The Ravid in Hilchos Lulav states, "Naflo ruach hakodesh bebeis medrashenu," that there was a special ruach hakodesh that came to them, and they were machadish the halacha. And the Chassam Sofer explains that it's not the type of Ruach HaKodesh, what's referred to, what the Ravid is referring to, is not the Ruach HaKodesh that came to the Nevi'im, not the Ruach HaKodesh that came to David HaMelech. What is meant by Ruach HaKodesh is that B'derech HaTeva, this Chiddush shouldn't have come to them. But they had the rotz and the desire and the total devotion and dedication and Hasmana. The Rebbeinu Shalom opened up the Ma'anes HaChochma, and they were granted this wisdom, this chiddush, that b'derech hateva they would not have been allowed to. And just as that was so in those days, by yamim hahem bizman hazeh, sometimes people feel the yush that they can't accomplish, they can't reach to the great heights, they can't reach to the depths of the Torah and the breadth of the Torah and avodas Hashem. But just as it was so in the time of the Chashmonaim, just as it was so in the time of the Ravid, and in the time of the Chassam Sofer, by Yamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh as well. And if a person devotes himself with total dedication and Mesiris and Bitochen in the Rebbeinu Shalom, he will respond in kind. And a person will see great Siyata D'Shmaya, great Hatzlacha, V'chein Yehi Ratzon.